Welcome back. We're in part 2 now, and in part 1 we talked about the ingredients and mixing the dough. We got it mixed and it was in kind of a shaggy mass, some dry bits of dough everywhere. It didn't look much like good pizza dough, to be honest, but then we let it rest for 30 minutes, and this is where we are, coming back to it. And after that 30 minutes, what we should find is that the flour has now absorbed a lot of the water. It's all come together into one mass. It looks, a lot more like a pizza dough now. We can still see there's dry bits, so we're going to finish this off by kneading it. But you should find that your dough is a lot softer now. So I'm going to turn it out on the side. You can see there's no dry bits or anything left in the bowl. And now we're going to start kneading it, and by leaving it to rest for about 30 minutes, it's going to make our job of kneading it much easier, because now the dough is nice and soft and we're going to be able to work it much easier with our hands. And I would recommend using hands. You can use a electric mixer, but it's easy to overwork the dough with one of those. And also you're going to learn better this way about the dough. So there's not really a right or wrong way to do it, but just use the heel of your hand to kind of press the dough, stretch it out. And then I like to kind of stretch the top out and then roll it back and then stretch out this middle bit. And then I use my other hand just to pin the dough down to the counter. And that's it really. I'm just working like this. And you may be able to hear sometimes some bubbles kind of popping inside the dough. And that's what we want, because that tells us that we're incorporating some air into this dough, which is going to help us get a nice rise out of it, a nice airy crust. Because we're doing a long fermentation, a long proof on 24 hours, we're going to be able to produce a wonderful flavour and a nice airy texture to the dough. But for that we do need to build up quite a lot of strength in this dough, so that by the end of the 24 hours the dough doesn't give up on us. So we've just got a little fly there. So yeah, all I'm doing is kind of pushing with the heel of my hand and then rolling the dough up and then stretching. And as I'm doing this, once I've done it, I just turn it over and do a quarter turn, then I'm holding again and then kneading like this. Now you will find that you need to use quite a bit of force, and so feel free to kind of put your body weight into it, and you can see how much this dough's stretching out here. And you probably want to do this for about 4 or 5 minutes. Just turn it every time. You can see just how much we can stretch this dough out now, whereas in the beginning it was really quite stiff. Now we can really stretch this out. And you can see how that looks. I like to call this method the croissant technique, because you can see how it kind of looks like a croissant when you've done it. But yeah, so there's loads of ways to do it. You just do whatever works for you. I'm pretty happy with this dough now. So now I'm just going to leave it. And if you wanted, you could leave it at this stage to prove. Just turn it into a ball and leave it to prove. But you're going to leave it for about 20 hours. But I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to wrap this up, then I'm going to come back to it, and I'm going to show you something called the window pane test, which is a good way to see if you've kneaded your dough enough. But I would advise leaving it about 30 minutes to rest again before we carry out the test. I'll put it in the bag. So thank you for watching part 2, the kneading. We'll come back in part 3 where I'll show you the window pane test.